So you're in luck. I'm going to do 25 question and answers that are Dear Bombshell aimed at moi because I'm not going to get to your relationship questions tonight. I'm too worn out for that, so sorry about that. We'll try and catch up on that on Tuesday. And I don't usually like to do 3 videos and call it a night, but that's what's going to happen tonight. So, anyway, 25 questions. First one: what would I truly regret not doing if I died tonight? 2 things. Um, Being married would be a big regret, and not having kids. Number 2. What were the top 3 lessons I learned the hard way? Oh, good gravy. Um, I would say spending foolishly was something I had to learn the hard way, to go through credit card counseling, um, because I couldn't accept the fact that me and Mike wasn't going to work out, and I needed an outlet to let my guard down and show a little bit of my. I was so proud of my weight loss that I think part of me, I while I was doing my weight loss, this is kind of a double-edged sword for number 2. I was my own worst enemy, and at the same time, um, I was hoping that it was going to get me my dreams and hopes answered. But again, I think that was a double-edged sword. And not only did I hurt myself to the point that I had anorexia and I was doing some damage to my body, that I was just. It cost. I feel like looking back now on it, I lost time. Now, by that I mean I lost time with my dog Kobe, who didn't live that long. I lost time with my grandma because I would not watch movies with her, and I would focus on my workout, and I didn't realize how much I had to lose. And that was something that's a painful thing to learn. And the third one would be overthinking things. That I am very good at being my own worst enemy, especially with my polycystic ovarian syndrome. Negative thoughts come easily, and thinking that I'm not good enough, that comes easily too, and always walking away comes easily too, because sometimes you can be scared and fearful of being loved. Okay, that's 3 things. Am I a servant of money, or does money serve me? Well, it depends on the scenario. Um, I would say, there goes the laundry again. Um, when you have bills to pay, and I like to look at having, right now I've got some magazines I would love to have paid, but I keep putting them off, but I'm going to do that probably next paycheck. Things should be going the right direction by that time, I hope. But I try not to be a servant of money. I try to let it be something that it pays the bills, because money is not everything. Okay. What questions do I want to know the answer to if it will help humanity? Oh, I would say a lot of people right now have the question of why the mask? Why the pandemic? That's a double-edged sword too in itself. I think that the pandemic has taught a lot of people what truly matters. Friends, family, co-workers, they matter because they're irreplaceable in your life. You should be wearing a mask for those 3 reasons. And most importantly, I think that we can learn from our mistakes, especially where the pandemic is concerned. So wearing a mask is definitely not only helps you, but the other people. Helps them and their other family members, friends, co-workers go home safely at night. And I don't know about you, but if you rest your head on your pillow at night, that should make you rest in peace, if you get my drift, without actually resting in peace. What aspect of my personality still needs improvement? Um, I say that every person always needs improvement. There's no perfect person, if you will. But in my life, I would say there's not just one aspect. It's like a triangle, if you will. I would say overthinking. I would say negativity. I do the best negative talk to myself better than anybody. Thinking that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy enough, um, things aren't ever going to happen, so why try anymore? That kind of thing. Um, and I can still push people out and build walls faster than anything in the world. So um, maybe some people would think that needs improvement. Who knows? Must I take other people's advice? In some scenarios, it's good to have a sounding board, but in some scenarios, that sounding board can be the worst thing ever. Um, I would say listen to it, but don't take it for the gospel. Um, if it's gossip about someone else, no. You have to make your own judgment. You have to make your own assessment. It's not wise to listen to other people. It's just not. And if it's advice about your love life, there's one thing that my hairdresser taught me. You don't group date. And she said, by that I mean, you don't go and chit chat about the problems or the faults that you find in a relationship. You go to that person, and you have to really trust and really confide that that person will listen to your fears and your insecurities and not walk away. Because if you feed all of those fears and insecurities to other people, then they're going to use those fears and insecurities to backfire on you. That was a hard lesson I had to learn the hard way. Who among the people I know bring out the best in me? I'm going to go with my family is my support group, my inner group. They're my inner circle. I think that to have that firm foundation, it brings out the best in you. And I have a little bit of everybody in me, so that's the best foundation you can have. When was the last time I told someone I love that I love them? To me, actions speak louder than words. You can say that I love you, but at the same time you can walk away. I was asked in the inbox when I gave the advice about how that girl didn't see the beauty in roses. The only way she saw beauty was the thorns in the roses. They said that sounded either like a country song or something personal. It's a little bit of both. I think that in my lifetime, because there's a song, I can't remember, Blaine Larson. He sang that song, They Don't Grow Enough Roses. And so that is kind of the theme of where the roses come from. And I also think that seeing my own parents' relationship and how mistakes happened, if you want to call them that, I don't. And there was always roses involved. So yeah, it kind of builds up an immunity to beauty, if you will. So I say actions speak louder than words, than that people just know. And I know that's a bad thing, because some people do need reassurance that you love them by saying it, but actions speak louder than words. Let's see here. What skill do I possess that I can do better than others? Well, this is question 10, by the way, if I haven't been telling you what question we're on. I would say I love to help others. Whether that's relationship advice on something maybe that I'm knowledgeable in, advice on how not to date, advice on life in general. I try to be the sounding board. And to me, a sounding board can give you advice, can listen to your problems, but it's up to you ultimately to make the decision where you go with it. Okay, let's see here. How often have I said yes when I wanted to say no? Maybe a couple of times in my life, and it wasn't that significant. It was just minor things, so it's not worth sharing. What important lesson have I learned this week? Well, to always remember things that you need before you start cooking. Since Sunday's the start of a new week, we'll say that. You see, I thought, okay, while I'm doing the laundry last night, I've got everything I need. I can start the roast in. I didn't have the liners for the crock pot, and I only had 1 can of beef broth, so over to County Market I went to get another can of broth as well as some liners. So I'm glad I made that run, and it taught me also not only that I'm glad that they're open till late, but I'm glad also that I need to start remembering more when I start to cook, like, okay, you need this, this, and this, and then make my list and go. I have a terrible habit of just leaving the house and not making a list. That's a bad thing. Anyway, what 3 words would my friends use to describe me to strangers? 3 words, huh? Friendly, dependable, honest. 3 things. And that was number 13, so we're on 14. Have I intentionally broken someone's heart? Not that I'm aware of. 15, do I really listen when people talk to me? I'm not the best listener. I'm bullheaded, I'm stubborn, and I like to do things my way a lot of the time, which is not well. You sometimes you shouldn't do that. You should listen to advice that's wise, especially if it comes from an elder. Even though sometimes we may not want to hear it, we should listen to it. But I would say it's somewhat. It's one of those sounding board things. You can take advice, but some things you'll do and some things you won't. It's just because you're bullheaded and stubborn. Okay. So what surprised me about myself this week on 16? Well, we're starting a new week. I would say mowing like I did on Saturday, though, was probably pretty amazing because I did the empty lot around the house and the backyard. So, you add all that up, it's a lot and a half. So there you go. Okay, how many hours have I been spending on the internet? Not many. This is one time I have not had a lot of time. Do I engage in negative self-talk? Yes. Whether it's what I eat, and I'm sitting there being my own worst enemy, nobody will hear the inner conversation I'm having with myself, but I will look at the food and go, okay, if I eat this, I can't eat anything later, or if I do eat this, then it's going to be like soup later because I can't eat much more. I am the expert at negative talk. If you asked Dr. Michael before he retired, he would tell you that, because at one point when my dieting got so severe and he was actually scared, he was like, you know what? He goes, I'm a little bit worried. I think we're going too extreme because you're near anorexia. He said, dial back on it. And I said, at that time, it just felt like there was no, I hate to say no reason, but it was just like at that time, everything was so negative in my life. Besides the negativity, I was my own worst enemy. So we're talking about year 14, 15, possibly 16, going into 16. And so, yeah, I was just really, there's days, there's moments, and I'm sure I'm not alone, where we're our own worst enemy. We can find faults with ourselves quicker than anything. Whether it's what we have on and what we look like in an outfit, whether it's something like food in front of us going, okay, this is so good, but I can't overindulge. What would people think? They would think I'm a hog. I don't want to be a hog, you know. So, yeah, negative talk comes easy. Number 19, am I living a simple or complicated life? Very simple right now. It is go to bed, get up. If don't work, then it's work around the house, work around the yard, and take care of everything in the house and in the yard. I try to help friends and family out if they need advice, be a sounding board. Other than that, it's go to work, do my job, read my little books, color my little pictures. It's a very simple life, no complications. Okay, how can I simplify my life? I don't think it can get much simpler. What would I change if I were the most influential person in the world? And that's number 21. If I was the most influential person in this world, to me, the most influential person of this world should be the acting president. Keyword, acting. But that means you have control and leadership of all the states, okay? Other countries look at you and they wonder why you make the decisions you make, what guided your decisions, and how you're running your country to see if you're running it better or worse than their country. So to me, let me get back to the question. What would I change if I were the most influential person in the world? I would say I would be president, and the very first thing that we would change is all the negativity, whether it be about a mask, whether it be about hatred, that's just wrong. So that's what I would probably change first. And we would find a cure for corona because, a woman gets the job done. Just saying. 22. How do I make the most out of my life? I think that it's a rewarding feeling to give back. Whether it's a family meal on a Sunday, whether it's muffins to neighbors, whether it's books that I've read and I give to a former coworker who's retired, whether it's magazines I've read and I give them back to my work mom, and I always make sure that it's important to let the elderly know, because to me we're still under the pandemic. My main goal is to give them a couple of cans of food at least, with a dessert, and of course their books, and that's always it's an important thing to me to give back. So. What stresses me out the most? Oh, good gravy. Depends on the day, the hour, the time. It's a constant worry about getting the things done around the house. It's a constant worry about, Grandpa and how he's doing. Making sure I do everything to the best of my ability at all times is also a constant stress and worry. Recently, the SUV was the biggest stress and worry, but thank goodness that's settled. How can I make my life more easier? Without stress and worry. Where do I find my inspiration? Of course, God above, friends, family, co-workers, books, and life in general is an everyday inspiration, because you shouldn't take it as for granted. We're all granted really one trip around this world. There's not a second chance, okay? You got to make it the best that you can make it, and that's the best you can do. And, none of us are perfect, and I think to be better than the person we were the day before is what we all should be striving for, to be like a light of inspiration. Grandma's favorite song was Angels Among Us because the writer was Becky Hobbs. Becky, we've seen her in concert many times. Grandma would bring her a cake up at Decatur, Illinois when she was there. Grandma would write letters. And that song was also played at her funeral. And Becky even called Grandma in the hospital. And it's making time for those who matter that means the most in life. And I think the inspiration is Angels Among Us. And I'll leave you with that. God bless. Keep safe. Wash your hands. Good night.